and welcome to episode 1 of Link6616's Let's Play of Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and I hope you'll enjoy working through my first Let's Play with me. So, let's start by being a Puritan and calling the main character by the main character's name. So, Link's Awakening is probably one of my favourite Zelda games, and was not the first Zelda game I played. I played Ocarina of Time first. However, this was the first one I owned, and was probably the one I played the most as a child. I played it multiple times, and I haven't played it in the last few years, so I'm hoping that a lot of it goes to memory, and that you can see a fairly efficient playthrough. So this isn't going to be a secret collecting playthrough or anything, it's going to be trying to get through not as fast as possible, but to avoid as much extra stuff as possible, basically. So I'll be using a few tricks, like using saves to bypass having to backtrack when possible, if it occurs to me, and things like that. So I hope you enjoy it. Also, please forgive me for any sound issues that I have, because as it stands I'm using an emulator on the computer in Fraps, and it seems that using both is a little bit too much for my computer's very slow hard drive, and so it occasionally screws up the sound, as you can see right now, or could see just then. So let's get our sword that is gently on the beach, and talk to an owl. Well, I guess we better wake the windfish. One of the things that I find interesting about Link's Awakening is that it kind of feels like a silly Gaiden title. It's just a little side story. There's a lot of little references to other characters in other games, and it all doesn't quite take itself seriously. But there's this weird sense of mystery above it all with the windfish, and a few of the things the owl says, especially towards the end of the game. And other characters seem to start recognizing they're part of a dream, which we're not going to go into in this playthrough because I'm not really talking to many people. But it's certainly, for its time, really interesting in that narrative sense. For an 8-bit Game Boy Zelda game. So Tail Cave is the first dungeon, and right now we're working on finding the key for it. So, our first step is to get magic powder. Why do we need magic powder? We need magic powder to make a raccoon into a human. Because if we don't make the raccoon a human, he'll keep us lost in the forest, because that's what raccoons naturally do. So, let's go through this cave, and walk past the slimes, and push the rocks. Grab ourselves one magic mushroom. A mellow aroma flows into your nostrils. It seems kind of odd to point out the writing in a Zelda game, even though they usually have kind of amusing writing, but there's... for the era, I think this is probably pretty good. Well, for the era as in its original 1993 release, not for the era with its 1998 release. I think it's 1998 when the Game Boy Color version came out anyway. Rightio then, and I've gone the wrong way, which kind of ruins the point of doing an efficient playthrough, but anyway. Oh, you'll notice that I'm relatively unfazed by being hit. I'm generally pretty aware of how many hits I'll be able to take before getting somewhere, and so usually I'm not really fussed about killing enemies. So, let's just equip the mushroom, and we will exchange it for some magic powder. Music speeds up, the animation goes up, and we now have our magic powder from the Silly Talking Witch. Magic powder is a bit of a generic item that does a few different things, but most importantly, it lights fires. and it can light things on fire. One of the more curious uses for magic powder, though, is on these things, where it makes them a bit bigger, and we can talk to them. And they're little self-referential things, which doesn't make them any less annoying when they're talking instead of just zapping you when you attack them. So, let's continue and use our powder on the raccoon. Now, to show you what happens if we were to not use it now, we get a generic warp going, which takes us back to the side here. Missing the important tail. So, let's go and use magic powder on him. The man who found our shield! That's what mushrooms do to you, mate. So let's get our chest. And we're going to use first little trick. Normally you'd be talking to an owl then, but now we're not. Of course, I'm not sure how much time this really saves, but it feels a lot more active. Although, if we walk into that space, we will be triggering that cutscene, regardless of whether we open the chest or not. Oh, and as you can see, the key is in my inventory. Oh, and as weapons, magic powder's not bad, but it's hardly the most effective thing. So, onward to Tail Cave, the first dungeon. Put in the key. And that's our first dungeon. Level 1, Tail Cave. And we shall save. And that'll be it for today. Thank you for watching.